So, hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us today for the next in our Lunch and Learn series brought to you by the Women of Flexo organization. So we can jump right in. We'll get started on the next slide. We have a little bit about who we are, right? We have Katie Graham from BOPS serving as our co-chair, and myself, Emily Kalshoven from McDermott as our co-chair. Katie's the chair, and I just wanted to take a quick beat to say thank you to Katie. She's not on the call today, but she is wrapping up her time as chair, and she's done a lot for this group. So next time you talk to Katie, give her a big shout out, say thank you to her, because she's done a really wonderful job chairing this committee. So moving on, who we are in the Women of Flexo, what do we do? We're a steering committee of women that we get together and we find ways to bring touch points to women in the industry in a variety of different fashions. So we have this broken out in a few different ways. We have the steering committee that is the group behind the scenes bringing you these events and the marketing material that you see online. So we have, like my little summary of each of these is we have the leadership development committee, and they are focused on creating touch points for women through industry events and visibility opportunities. We have the recruitment and engagement committee, and they are focused on creating touch points with women all throughout the industry and bringing them in and creating touch points in that way. We have the marketing and strategy group, and they're the backbone of creating touch points, right? Because they make sure that our work gets communicated outward, and they make sure that it goes, those touch points reach outside of just us in our group. And then we have the mentorship committee, and they work at creating touch points within our industry and fostering those into building relationships. So that's a little bit about how we grow our network. If you want to find out any more about our steering committee or anything that we're working on, any ways that you can get involved, these are the people that you can reach out to. And please be sure to visit our website. Marketing has done a really wonderful job of keeping that updated, and they actually just put up some new info on each of the subcommittees. So be sure to go check that out at womenofflexo.org and follow us on LinkedIn, because we also share a lot through there. So with that, we have Paige Sokolnick. Paige, I'm so sorry. Paige Sokolnick, please correct me when you're coming online. How is it? What is it? Sokolnick?
Sokolnick.
Sokolnick. Well, I should know this after a couple of years.
No, it's fine. I'm still getting used to it too, so no worries.
Correct me each time. But Paige is going to talk to us a little bit about the mentorship group. She has a couple minutes, and Paige, take it away.
Sounds good. Thank you, Emily. Thanks for the opportunity to speak real quick on behalf of the mentorship group. I just want to chit chat briefly about the program itself, what it entails, maybe some expectations that you can anticipate when joining. And perfect. Thanks, Laura. First and foremost, this is just the perfect time to bring all this up because we're getting really close to end our 22-23 year of mentorships. We actually wrap up this month. So we're currently accepting applications for mentees, mentors, and also committee positions as well. So this includes new applications, people that maybe want to do it again, because we definitely encourage that as well. I actually did it myself 2 years in a row before I came on to the committee. So feel free to scan that QR code or follow the link below to kind of get the application process. And I'm sure afterwards we can also share some of this deck, and we'll be sharing more on LinkedIn and all that fun stuff. So next slide, Laura, please. So we'll be accepting the applications through August 18th. Something I really want to stress that I think can kind of be a misconception at first is that we really do welcome anyone and everyone, all sorts of roles, all sorts of companies. We certainly do not discriminate when it comes to who wants to join. We've always had a wide range of career paths in the group. So, customer service, sales, graphic arts, production, really anything and everything. So the mentorship also runs from September to about end of May, early June timeline. So typically about 9 months. We feel that that's the best amount of time in order to get the most out of the experience. And next slide, please. So expectations on maybe how much time you need to set aside on the program. We really encourage meeting with your mentee or mentor at least once a month for those 9 months to, like I said, really get that full experience. And we also recommend meeting for at least an hour or so during that time. This can be in the evenings if that works better with your schedule. I think a lot of times women will meet during the lunch hours. So, you know, the program's obviously extremely flexible, can work with all sorts of schedules. So it's whatever works for you guys. And we also provide in the beginning a kind of starter packet or a guide to help kick off some of those first few meetings. It has various topics or, you know, truly what it is exactly that you're wanting to get out of the mentorship. And then we also do 6 virtual happy hour events throughout the year. And this includes all of the women in the program. So it's just a really great opportunity to mingle with others, network, and learn some ways that you can get involved more in the industry. And of course, we always have a good time at each one because we typically have a theme, especially during the fall and winter months. Next slide, please. And so, yeah, this is just kind of the snapshot of the topics and more details that I was talking about that you get in that actual mentorship packet. So just really making sure that everyone at least has a solid foundation and tools for success when it comes to getting the most out of that experience. With that too, I know, of course, we've got Emily on the call and Jenny Scott, who have both had experiences being a mentor and a mentee. And so I just to like invite maybe first Jenny to comment on her experience that she's had as a mentor real quick.
Yes, thank you very much. So yeah, I was a mentor to 2 women. I must say that the program overview and how they've set this up makes it very easy to have a script kind of to follow and to get it kicked off, which is awesome. And I would also suggest too, be very flexible with your mentee as well. I know when I met with mine, it was suggested to meet an hour a month, but we split up between 2 half hours, which was nice and a little bit easier to do during lunch as well too. So a great program and a great program outline, and great guidance to follow. So
awesome. Thank you, Jenny. Emily, any tidbits or food for thought that you'd like to share as a mentee?
Girl, I got tidbits, you know. Yeah, no, I'm currently a professional mentee. I have been a student mentor, like when I was, earlier in my career, and I didn't quite feel like I could be a professional mentor, and I didn't quite know enough to be a professional mentee yet, because I was still deciding some stuff in my life, right? But yeah, all around great. As a student mentor, it was a great way to connect with someone else in the industry because we were like co-mentors together. So I got to team up with someone and team up with her and work with, I think it was 6 students. So that was really meaningful. And then as a mentee myself, I have learned a ton, and flexibility. I think Jenny really hit it on the head there because, there's the packet and it is wonderful, right? Like I think it's really, really helpful. And I think it lays out a lot of good opportunities. But if you're perhaps like me and maybe you get a little overwhelmed with a lot of paperwork, you and your mentor can just pivot, right? Like my mentor said, hold on, I don't think the paperwork would serve you. What would serve you right now? What can we do right now? So can't praise it enough. It's really wonderful. And getting to connect with people and meet with people at the events is always a huge benefit. So can't thank you guys enough.
Perfect. Thank you guys. It's always amazing to kind of hear that feedback and pass it along to current members and hopefully potential new members. Next slide, Laura, and I think it's my last one. Yes. So that's really about it. Short and sweet. Like I said, feel free to reach out to any of us if you have further questions or want to know certain specifics. Happy to help answer any of those. And, you know, maybe this is not the best year for you to get involved in the program. Maybe you don't want to do it again, but if you know of anyone, a colleague or a peer that you think would be a good fit or really benefit from the program, please, I encourage you to have them apply or at least get some more information about it. Thank you guys so much.
Wonderful. Thank you, Paige. Appreciate you. All right. So thank you so much, Paige. That was great. And now on to our main event. Today, you guys, we have Miss Laura Wright from CSW. She is the CEO and co-owner of CSW, and she's got a lot of strategies and a lot of good things to say. So, Laura, with that, please take it away.
Oops. Having a hard time starting it.
I'll hang out until you're
Not
like
funny. Okay.
ready to go.
Got it. All right. All right. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to this Women of Flexo Lunch and Learn. This Lunch and Learn is about dealing with difficult people. This is a seminar that we gave at the live Women of Flexo event at the McDermott FXC earlier this year, and we thought you'd benefit from seeing it online and get to some more people. So I'm so glad you're joining us today, and I hope you get a lot out of this. I'll be talking for about 15 minutes, and then Emily and I will take some questions and do some discussion around this. So really, you know, I was asked to do this talk. I want to let you know I'm not a psychologist and I'm not an expert on this subject, but I did learn a lot from researching this, and I was able to filter it through my own experience. I've been managing a company for 25 years now, and I've dealt with a few difficult people here and there. So I have some good experience, and I did filter some stuff. There were some things that I read and things online that I did not agree with that I took out, and some that I kept in. But I hope this benefits you. And I also want to let you know, I'm talking about difficult people, but I'm not necessarily saying that they're bad. Difficult people are just, you know, responding to the world in the way that they can manage, and they have needs, and they're trying to get those needs met and satisfied. So we all have different ways of doing this, and some people come across as difficult. Everyone is difficult at times. I think we need to be open to that. We need to be open to the fact that we ourselves may be difficult at times. So just keep that in mind. I want to start by having you take a moment to reflect on the difficult people in your life. And I'm sure you've got them. We've all got them all over our lives, you know, family members, friends, coworkers, maybe even your boss that you're dealing with. Just think about them and think about how you interact with them, how those interactions go. Are they, you know, how frustrating are they? How much energy are they taking from you? You know, what's the course of events that makes them either go bad or go well? You know, what works and what doesn't. So just kind of get your head around that. And one thing I want to prep you for is that this seminar is a lot about spending time working on yourself. And when I started to look into this topic, I was dealing with a person who was very difficult. And I was kind of excited to research it because I thought, wow, this is going to show me how to change them and fix them. And I won't have to deal with this situation anymore. It's going to be great. But when I started to look at the information about this, a lot of it talks about this being about how you perceive things and how you are interacting with them and how you're letting it affect you. So I'm going to be giving you some tools that are really about working on yourself, is, as an example, empathetic listening, so that these people have less of an impact on you. and they're taking less of that energy from you. And, you know, and keep in mind that you may be difficult at some times, so that may be affecting the interactions here. So let's take a moment and kind of zen out here and prepare our mindset, right? So the first thing I want you to do when you're getting ready for dealing with a difficult person, I want you to be hopeful. Like, you don't want to go into this interaction with negative thoughts like this isn't going to work. Like, be hopeful about it. Be hopeful that this is going to go better than it has in the past, maybe, or really awesome, maybe even. I also want you to be strong. When you go into an interaction with this person, you need to really be at your best. So don't go in if you're hungry, you really only have 2 minutes, and you're trying to get things done. Don't go in if you haven't slept well the night before and you're grouchy. Go in really from a position of strength, because it takes a lot of energy to interact with these people, and you want this to go well. So get in the right mindset. Be hopeful, be strong. And I'm also going to ask you to trust your gut, because that's going to help guide you through the interaction. You're going to use that gut feeling to determine what makes you uncomfortable and start dealing with those behaviors from the person. So remember, you're not out to change the person, but you're out to change some of the behaviors that they have and also how they affect you. So trust your gut. Also seek help. Maybe you want to talk to somebody before you go into the interaction, just to toss ideas back and forth. You know, what do you think how do you think they'd react to this? Do you think this would work or not work? Don't be afraid to talk to somebody. Don't do it in a gossiping way, but use your resources around you. I'm sure you have trusted people who you know are really mature in these things. I know I have some friends that just do great at this type of stuff, and they're awesome to bounce things off of. Also, remind yourself that you're not responsible for the other person's happiness. That's up to them. You cannot change their life. You can't change the situation. You can't change their attitude towards life. So just go in and know, this is not your responsibility. And protect your personal boundaries. And I'll be talking a little bit more about that. Setting boundaries is very important, because what they've been doing that causes your discomfort is they've been crossing those boundaries. And you're going to start making those boundaries known, and you're going to start having them understand what those are and why they're important to you. So overall approaches. First of all, don't rationalize or dismiss difficult behavior. As women, I think we often try to give people a lot of leeway and forgive and forget or just get by. Like, I know a lot of times I think, oh, I can deal with this. It's fine, right? Don't do that. Realize that this person's behavior is not socially acceptable in this situation. They may have stuff going on, which we all have, but it's not an excuse to treat you in a way that they shouldn't, or to talk to somebody in a way they shouldn't. So have that in the back of your mind. One big strategy is to speak and think factually. So a lot of times what these people are doing is they're approaching you in a very emotional way, and that has a huge influence over the interaction, and it can easily escalate the interaction. So you want to respond to them very factually, like, what happened? What are the specifics of what happened? Not how you feel it might have happened or did happen or will happen or any of that. What are the facts here? So keep that in the back of your mind. Also understand you can't fix them. I mentioned this before, you can't fix them. We're just working on behaviors, right? Tackle issues as soon as possible. If something hits your gut, remember, trust your gut as being uncomfortable for you. Deal with it right away. If they say something, you say, hey, I don't like the way you said that. It really affected me. Could we find a different way to state that, maybe, or a different way to interact on this? Also control your emotions. I'll talk a little bit more about that. So again, these are really emotionally charged interactions sometimes. You guys have history, you're coming in with it, they have history. It's easy to escalate situations. And what you want is calm. So you're coming at this from your strong mindset and your positive mindset, and you want to maintain control, at least of yourself. Like, they may not be able to control themselves, but you're going to maintain control of yourself. So you've changed your mindset, and you want to think about, is this person really asking for help? Is this difficult behavior their way of asking for help? And that's the case with a lot of people. A lot of people have learned that these difficult behaviors will get them what they want, either a physical need or an emotional need. And those behaviors have developed and been reinforced throughout their lives. And that's one of the reasons you can't change them. So just look at that. Is the person asking for help? And that will help you maybe to start understanding them. Remember, this is not about you. They're not attacking you. So don't take it personally. They're just trying to get some kind of a need met, or they're dealing with you in the way that they're used to dealing with the world and the way they can manage to deal with the world. This is way bigger than you, not about you. And remember, don't lose your cool. Stay cool, calm, collected. Stay even keel, because you don't want to trigger them. And if you lose your cool, they win sometimes. Some of these people are just out to escalate you. You have like a drama queen or a drama king. They just want to escalate you into the whole drama of the situation, right? So keep you cool. Practice empathetic listening with intent to understand. All right, this is big, because what you really want to do is you want to understand where they're coming from. And that will help you to better deal with the behavior. You'll have a better understanding of what's going on behind the scenes, what triggers them, what triggers you about the interaction with them, and maybe we'll give you a little bit more understanding and more empathy towards them. And that's really important. And let them know that you hear them. Because a lot of these people, the reaction they get from other people is, a wall, because they are difficult. So people walk away from them. They don't give them a chance. Let them know that you hear them. And I think that that's a huge thing that opens them up and allows for a positive interaction. Put yourself in their shoes. Again, be empathetic. Think about the fact that they have this really difficult boss and they're just trying to satisfy the needs of that boss and not lose their job, or whatever they're going through. Or they may have a situation at home, that's really difficult. And be willing to devote the time necessary to do this. It's not like a 2-minute thing. You've got to really sit down and be open to spending the time listening and interacting with them on it. Operating with an ethic of mutual respect. This is super important for both of you. Don't let their behavior dictate how you respond. Again, remain calm, cool, and collected. Keep that inner strength with you. You're good, and you're the stabilizing factor in this. So don't let their behavior trigger you. Act with integrity. You know your values. Stick with them. You know how you like to treat people. Treat this person in the same way. Don't let them pull you into something that you wouldn't normally do. And all of that is really showing respect for yourself and your own beliefs and how you deal with people. You're not going to come out of this interaction feeling good if you've overstepped your own boundaries. So remain centered, position of strength, and respect yourself, but also respect them. And you've done that already with the empathetic listening, right? You've given them a chance. You've given them the respect of listening to them and acknowledging what they're going through, and and require that they respect you. And that's a lot of what this is about, is requiring that respect from them. And part of that is setting boundaries with the person. There are all kinds of difficult people, and some of them claim your time and your energy and your patience and maybe even other things. decide what access you're going to give them to yourself. Don't let them overstep that boundary. Know what you're comfortable with. And this is another going back to trusting your gut, right? So you're having this interchange with them and you're feeling it in your gut, what's right, what's wrong, what you're comfortable with, what you're not. And you're going to use that to start establishing boundaries with that person. Decide when you're going to walk away. Some people get so difficult that it's hard to continue the conversation. And you want this to be a positive interchange. If it starts getting really difficult, or you feel really offended, or like you're going to lose it, it's time to walk away. All right. And again, understand what makes you uncomfortable and stay within your boundaries. Seek advice if you need to. Sometimes we need a professional. Some of these people are really, really difficult beyond an average person's ability to deal with. So you might need to seek advice. The two last points here are really, really important because this is what's going to change things for them. You need to let them know clearly what the boundaries are. So you need to know, I don't like it when you speak to me like that, or you're not my boss. I report to this person. So you can ask me and I will work cooperatively with you, but you can't tell me what to do. Things like that. Be very clear on what the boundaries are. And you've established those, by understanding what you're comfortable with and what you're not. And state the consequences. A lot of these people need to know that there are consequences to their actions. If you continue to treat me this way, I will not be able to work on this project with you. Let them know that there is there's a limit to what they can do. So that's a very important thing. And you're really protecting yourself in this, and you're protecting your ability to interact with them in a productive way. Manage your expectations going to this. So, we've done all this stuff, and sometimes you can feel like Superwoman and you go in and you're like, I'm going to change this. I'm going to come out of this next 5 minutes and we're going to have a whole new beginning here, right? Well, not always. This stuff takes a while. It may take several interactions with the person, several conversations, time thinking about it and thinking about what they said in order to empathize with them. So really base your reactions, your expectations on facts and not emotions. I know you want to solve this problem. I always do, but sometimes it just takes a while. Be hopeful, but flexible. So yes, maintain that positive attitude, but be flexible. You might get nowhere in a conversation. You might get really far, but just realize that, there's a person that is involved in this, and there's a lot of stuff and baggage behind that person. So, it's not all up to you. You need to be flexible and realize that it may take time. It may take months. It may take a while, but, hopefully you'll get there. And if this person is someone in your life that needs to be in your life, a family member, or, or maybe a coworker in a job that you really love and you don't want to give up, you really want to work at this. It's worth the effort. One thing I want to state is if this is potentially physically harmful, get out. You do not need to subject yourself. And, I'll expand that to emotionally harmful too, because you do not need to subject yourself to any physical or emotional harm. If this becomes too much, you can end the relationship. It's not your obligation to work on this. But you just realize that you may have to be the one exiting that relationship. So there are tons of difficult personalities that you might manage or interact with. And I want you to stay tuned because, the next Women of Flexo Lunch and Learn, which is on July 12th, I'm going to talk about some of these specific personalities and how to deal with them specifically. And we'll go through them, and I'll probably even have you bring some examples of difficult people you're dealing with, and we could talk about them as a group, or we'll have a little discussion on the side about them. So it should be fun, and I hope you can attend that. Just my final slide, some key takeaways from this presentation. Come from a position of strength and personal values. I think that is probably the most important thing I learned from this. You kind of have to shed that emotional baggage that you've built up with the person and go in strong and stable and confident, right? And calm, cool, and collected. Try to listen and understand what the underlying cause of the behavior is, and that will help you understand and do something about it. Respect the person and demand respect from them. Speak clearly and factually. Remember, don't get drawn into the drama or the emotion. Set clear boundaries and don't accept abusive behavior. All right. Here's just a couple references that I used, and this presentation will be on the Women of Flexo website. So if you want to go back to it and check these out, scan these, feel free to do that. And right now, so I want to ask you to kind of reflect on these questions. So we have 3 questions here, just to kind of trigger some conversation. And please feel free to ask any questions you want besides these, but please go into the Q&A. If you want to talk about one of these specific questions, refer to the Q number, Q1, Q2, or Q3, so we know which one you're talking about. But Emily's going to help me with this, and we'll take a look at your responses, and she and I will chat about them a little bit as we go through this.
Absolutely.
So thank you, everybody.
Hey, great job, Laura. That was so good. Great. So I recognize that we are at the 30-minute mark. So if you have questions for Laura, please do put them in the Q&A. If you're not on the call by the time that we answer them, then we will, we'll send the link out for the video and you'll be able to see the responses after, if that is okay. And then anything that we don't get to in our overtime setting, we can certainly address next month. So yeah, Laura, that was wonderful. Oh my gosh, I had like so many different thoughts popping in my head just real quick as people are kind of chiming in with questions and ideas. And
it's kind of a fun topic because we all deal with it, and I just loved some of the tools that I read about. And like I said, it was just a totally different way of approaching it than I thought it would, because you're so like wound up with these situations and angry, I guess, in some ways.
It feels so big, right?
Yeah, and overwhelming. Huge. And we have so little control over other people, I think. And it's hard to say, okay, admit to that and say, all right, I need to work on myself, because it can be so draining. And I know I've had situations where things could be so great, but there's a difficult personality involved, and it really taints a lot of things. They talk about the bad egg, and how great that we kind of can adjust ourselves and how we accept or don't accept that, and how much we give to them, because you really are, they're taking from you in a lot of situations.
Absolutely. One of my favorite sayings that my dad used to say when I was growing up, I actually wrote it down on my whiteboard while you were talking. You can't see it because it's blurred, but he used to say, you don't have to carry any baggage that you don't pick up.
I love that.
Like, I just thought of that as you were like talking about, don't take it personally, like understand that like they are where they are, and that's not yours to deal with. You just have to know how to move around it. This is one of my favorite topics because like it's applicable everywhere.
Right. Personal life, work life, all the time, right? It always seems like
of separation of me and others, right?
Right.
Huge.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. You're about to say something.
Oh no, it's okay. It just seems like there's always a difficult person in your life at some point or another, or multiple difficult people.
Yeah. I mean, check this out. There is you are never going to be 100% compatible with anyone,
No, so true.
because you are not them and they are not you. Right? So like, it's always good
Yep.
to have these
Is
strategies.
that part of valuing, what everyone has to offer, right? Everyone has good things and bad things, and take the good and leave the bad, right?
It's learning to accept where people are where they are,
Mhm.
and you move accordingly.
Yeah.
Great. But like, I will say, one of the last thoughts, and I do want to encourage people, don't forget about that Q&A if you have any questions. But one of the big things that popped in my head at the end of what you were talking about was saying, like, if it's abusive, get out, right?
Mm.
Which is
Mhm.
huge, right? Because some people, to be frank, just need to hear that.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think a lot of times we talk about physical abuse and
Mhm.
not accepting physical abuse,
Yeah.
but I think emotional abuse can be just as serious. And I think it's harder to identify. It's harder to know what the limit is. Like, you can see a
take it on
bruise.
themselves. People adopt it as their own
Mhm.
doing instead of
Right. Oh,
a
women do that
product
all
of-
the time. What am I
right?
doing to cause that? Yeah.
Right. It must be me. No one else is experiencing
Mhm.
this, right?
Right.
And it's that's, I mean, it's pervasive, right? Because you don't put that down when you go home from work. You don't put
Right.
it down because it feels like always. And that's hard. That's really
Mhm.
hard.
Yeah.
And I think that that's, that's something to like really reflect on, right? I think you're very right in saying, like, address it, face it, and do something about it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
I just think as women, we accept things and we make it work, right? You
yeah,
have a relationship, you're trying to make it work.
right.
If it's a personal relationship, there may be kids involved and you're just trying to do it, or your job relies on it,
There
you're
is
gonna.
always also the clarifier, though, of
Mhm.
do what you need to do to keep yourself safe, right?
Mhm. That's
In
right.
those sorts of difficult environments. So
And
like,
that's what we used to do. Yeah.
as the big clarifier, like, that's always at the, the forefront, right? Like, this
Mhm.
is all about doing what you need to do to protect yourself, to look out for yourself, and learn how to move through the world in that way where you are
Right.
learning to advocate for yourself. That's exactly, like, what this boils down to.
It is. Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah. It's huge.
part of that is ensuring your safety, whatever that,
Mhm.
whatever. So
Yeah. Protecting your emotional well-being and your physical well-being. But a lot of this is just emotional. It's affecting you, emotionally, and taking away from your quality of life.
yeah,
It,
I think it often gets diminished, right? It's like, oh, it's
Mhm.
just feelings, right?
Yeah, right.
But
Yep.
everything that we experience in life comes down to
Yeah.
feelings, right? Every pain, every physical pain that we have is a feeling that is just nerves saying, oh, ouch, right?
Mhm.
It's just different, right? It's
Yep.
social
So
pain,
true.
right? Yikes. Social pain is so scary because we're social critters,
That's right. Yep.
Right. That's right. Well, I don't
Looks like no
think we have
questions.
any questions.
Wow. All right.
All right. Well, if any other question, or if any questions pop up, I should say, feel free to email Laura. Laura, do you want to share your email address real quick?
Yeah, it's Laura W at cswgraphics.com.
Beautiful. Great. So yeah, feel free to email Laura. She's a great resource and a great person to be connected with.
Yeah, love to hear from you.
Absolutely.
And thank you so much for letting me speak with you.
This is so
This was cool.
good. I think you
Yeah.
did a wonderful job. I'm really glad that you were able to do this, and I hope it was
Wow.
meaningful for all of the viewers, and I know it was meaningful for me. So thank you
Oh,
so
great.
much.
I'm sure we'll have fun next time too.
Oh, yeah, we will. Love it. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Don't forget to check out our website, womenoflexo.org, and follow us on LinkedIn. Get us connected. We're Women of Flexo, and we will be back on July 12th. Right? Wonderful. All right. Thanks, everyone. Y'all take care.
Bye, everybody.